Streaming live now.
All right.
Let me go live. Ever since the pandemic and lockdown started, the 20-year-old Indian Television.com group, which includes Animation Express, has embraced digital as a way of bringing industry professionals together to discuss, ideate, and share their insights on the challenges they are facing and the solutions they have found. We have conducted close to 80 fireside chats, virtual roundtables in the past 120, 125 days. That's one every 1.5 days. We brought together cable operators, DTH players, broadcasters, content creators, filmmakers, film studios, OTT platforms, agency heads, uh, uh, VFX studios, animation studios, technology companies, the realty sector, advertising agency heads, retail, health, hospitality, entrepreneurs, outdoor companies, tech suppliers from India and internationally, and what have you. Each has been appreciated. Our objective has been to build platforms for leaders from the industry to engage with each other and thus help others gain insights, understanding, so that they can run their businesses better. IndianTelevision.com group, which has started from a hole in the wall 20 years ago, today is a leader in many ways. We run very successful properties with some of the finest people in the business. IndianTelevision.com, India's leading B2B destination for those interested in the business of cable, satellite, OTT production, distribution, advertising, marketing, media, technology, and what have you. Telechaco.com, which is a leading go-to website for those who are interested in what's going on TV and OTT shows and movies, and in the lives of the stars and behind the scenes folks from these sectors. Telechakra generates 100 million unique viewers annually and more than a billion views every year. RadioandMusic.com, a B2B and B2C vertical targeted at those in the business of music, FM radio, as well as musicians and radio shows and jockeys. So anyone who's interested in this sector logs on to RadioandMusic.com. In India, we are far ahead of even Rolling Stones in India in terms of our audience and our reach. Finally, there's a creme de la creme, Animation Express, something which I really love and I'm passionate about, the B2B destination and the number 2 or number 3 in the world of animation, visual effects, comics, and gaming. Uh, Animation Express is behind such great initiatives such as the AN Awards, which is recognizing the best practices in the world of animation, as well as the Kids Animation and More Summit. We are coming up the VFX and More Summit with the VAM Awards. We are expecting to hold that in the next couple of months digitally. The Indian Television.com group also owns and produces the Indian Tele Awards, which are televised to audiences numbering 20-25 million on television, and they recognize performances on television for best actor, best actress, director, editor, and all the rest of the providers of skill sets to the television industry. Plus, we also recognize some OTT shows. Indian Television is behind VidNet, which is the largest gathering for OTT professionals, wherein we bring in technology companies, platforms, creators, brands to understand how we can definitely better the world of the OTT ecosystem. We also talk about regulation. We produce the Content Hub, which is the largest gathering of content creators from TV, OTT, cinema, where you have the largest studios in India, the largest producers of content from television, OTT, as well as platforms coming and talking about, and writers, directors, cinematographers. We all gather together. This year, when we did it in March, we had 1,000 people attending, and each of them paid money to be there. And the idea is to build a system of content creators and help them engage with each other and possibly greenlight some projects from either OTT or television for the creators. We also behind Brandwidth, which is a gathering of branded video content creators. That is, brands which are looking at using video to communicate messages directly to consumers. A lot of them are setting up content studios in-house. A lot of the big companies who produce some of the FMCG products are setting up content studios in-house. We also involved in below the line activation for a lot of brands from a lot of large brands from India, all over India. In my personal capacities, I'm responsible for participation from India at the world's largest India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, at the world's largest video content syndication markets like MIPCOM, MIP TV, MIP Cancun, MIP China, which takes place in MIP China takes place in Hangzhou in Cannes, and MIP Cancun takes place in Mexico. Whereas MIPCOM and MIP TV, of course, take place in Cannes in the south of France. The Times of India is responsible for the participation in the Cannes Advertising Festival, and I'm responsible for the TV markets, which are organized by Reed Midem. I also look after the world's largest gathering of B2B professionals in esports and games, which is held in Cannes and in Miami, It's called Esports Bar. So I'm responsible for participation from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. Hi, my name is Anil Vanwari, and I have a very, very interesting guest today. He's a Belgian who fell in love with India and has stayed put. So much did he love India that he actually decided to have a partner who's Indian. He was a kickboxing instructor who got trained in NLP. He's been a game developer, running a company, Krida Games, producing some MMO games based on Bollywood. Today, he's building Epic Games India and Southeast Asia operations. With over 25 years of experience at the intersection of media and technology, he has been able to develop and negotiate win-win strategic partnerships and large deals for some of the biggest companies across markets. At Epic Games, he's been tasked to focus on building the team, leading business operation, business development with strategic partners, and coming up with market-centric product innovations. He actually began in the music industry. Then he went on to a web startup, which didn't do too well. Then he went on to Universal Music, joined IBM. So he's been in the music industry for a long time, 10 years. Then he led the IBM's media and entertainment industry practice in APAC. He also has been part of a significant part of the growth stories of leading companies like Unity Technologies, Take-Two Interactive, Akama and Improbable. Let me introduce him, Quintin Stays Polate. Welcome, Quintin.
Thank you, Anil. Great pleasure to have you and meet with you again after many years and many occasions. Thank you for having me.
Last time we met was I think it was in Hyderabad, where you were there in November this year, but we haven't had a chance to interact much with each other.
That's right.
I just knew that you were propagating Unreal then, and I thought you were Epic Games, and you suddenly started talking about Unreal.
Right.
Then now you're also Improbable, and you're Unreal, Improbable, and Epic. Can you tell us what exactly each of these are?
No, so I joined Epic Games in October this year, and my focus is, as you said, to develop the Southeast Asia and Indian market and build a team and support our customers, our clients, our licensee around the market here in gaming, obviously, but also across industries as Unreal started to be adopted in many industry for digital content creation, from animation to movies to architecture and healthcare and simulation, etc. And my feeling for a while with the emergence of VR in the last few years, of affordable VR device, the progress in GPU, is that game engine that have been used to build games for many years now had a much bigger role to play. And as the next generation internet that some people like to call the metaverse, which we think will be a social platform, which may be 3D and real-time and immersive, where we'll be entertained, but also where we can work, collaborate, study, and all of those things, is about to emerge. We don't really know how it's going to emerge, but I thought, as always, I like to be I like to be at the forefront of innovation, and I thought there would be no better place than joining Epic, and because of the vision and the values they're propagating around game development and around technology and around innovation. And I was fortunate enough to have them think that I could help as well. And so I joined in October, and we've been working to assemble the team and try to evangelize Unreal Engine in the region.
In fact, you're talking about the metaverse. I'd seen a social network around 9 years ago at MIPCOM. One of the founders had come and spoken, where he had talked about where you have digital avatars being stored online. Mm-hmm. And I'd actually, Second Life, it was called.
Right, that's right. Second Life, first attempt to it.
Yeah, and I think it's still around, right? Or it's gone?
Yeah, no, I think it's still around, and they just recently announced some more product and environment, etc. And also, it's an idea that I think the first time it was mentioned and named was probably in Snow Crash, that novel in the I think it's from the 60s or 80s, and then it was really made popular by Ready Player One and The Matrix. I mean, all those are showing very dystopian version of the metaverse. We don't think this is gonna happen like this, and we definitely hope it's not going to be so dystopian. We think it's going to probably evolve from today's environment of internet and apps, and progressively more and more functionality and more space will be created that will be, socially connected, and will use 3D immersive technologies to bring that intimacy and that collaboration, that real-time collaboration that those type of technology enable. And we've as a game company or a technology company, we quite peculiar, because we do both technology and games, right? Usually people either do the tech or they do the games. And when I say the tech, I mean tech that they can give to other people. There's a lot of very large game companies that have their own technology, but they don't make it available like us. And so as a technology provider with Unreal, and now with Quixel and all the other things we are starting to integrate in that the Unreal ecosystem, we're quite different, because we basically eat our own tech before we give it to others. And we port our game, Fortnite in particular, our biggest property, is working on Unreal, and every time we innovate on Unreal, we bring Fortnite on it before we actually share it with other users, right? So we dog food it to ourselves, like we say, to make sure it works, and our users then have a smooth transition or adoption for technology.
Yeah, but Tim, I think the Unreal begins from a game they had created many years ago. Tim,
that's right. And Unreal Tournament.
From the beginning, they wanted to license Unreal, right? They had a multi-shooter game they created way back.
That's right. And Unreal Tournament. I think from the beginning, I mean, Tim Sweeney and Mark Rain, the founders who started this, over 20 years ago in their garage in Maryland at the time, and were sending their first game by post in little envelopes by themselves. They were always, I mean, Tim has always been in the tech, and he's writing codes today, and he's still looking at the tech, and he's still very passionate about the tech. And at some point it made sense to share that tech with other people. And then next step, we actually made it also open source. So you can, not only you can download it from our website, but you can also download it from GitHub, and it's the code of Unreal is there available, and we want people to use it and build on it and leverage it as much as we can.
So in terms of, where does the money come from? I mean,
we've been, the company has survived all this year mostly on the back of a succession of games that have been more and less successful. And we just happened to, 3 years ago, to have a great success. I mean, all this experiment over many years has built a very solid team that was then, that then put out Fortnite. And Fortnite now is 350 million users
and 10 million.
That's right. So that's
what's the number for India? What's the number for India for Fortnite? Is it
we don't share
30,000?
We don't share numbers on a local basis, and even globally we share. I mean, the numbers that we share as about 350 million. 2-3 months ago, we reached about 350 million registered users, and we've had in some event, peak of, I think it's 12.2 concurrent users, which is absolutely insane. From a point of view,
350 million is unique, is it, or is it?
That's registered users.
Different handles.
Registered users.
Yeah, but I might be having 3 different handles.
Then there would be 3 different users, I guess. Right?
Okay.
We don't take DNA from or face recognition from the artist. So if you registered with 3 ID, 3 email, it'll be 3 users.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you said 12 million concurrents, and you don't give numbers from India, but
over 12 million,
it's anywhere between 30 to 50,000 players from India. Are we wrong? Are we far from wrong? Are we close to wrong?
I can't share. I'm very sorry. I can't share those numbers. We're not sharing them, and I'm not sharing them for India in particular. I mean, we've seen some decent growth in India recently. Obviously, the install base in India of console is not very big. And the PC is is okay. It's good. We've seen a good progress going on mobile and Android. So it's a market we definitely
Yeah,
looking at.
because we have close to, I think, how many 500 million smartphones, and we've got about 400 odd million connected to the internet in some way or the other.
Yeah. And also that Fortnite is we very very peculiar about the experience and the quality of the experience, which means that we typically on the mobile side work on quite high-end phones, top Android phones, I'd say, and the last 2 or 3 generation of iOS phones. So that means in India, a lot of that 400 million connected smartphone population you're referring to, the number of high-end users is much more limited. And we are not interested in doing 2 games like some company have chosen to do, and then have half of our users with a not really satisfactory experience. We think, the GPU are progressing very fast, and the price of phones is going down very fast. And we rather do things like push the technology to be more photorealistic, like we've done. You've seen the announce on UE5, and the first video on UE5 on the PS5.
Yeah.
That's had lots of views as well. We rather chase that photorealism than chase every device going down when we know that most of those devices will be obsolete in a year or 2. So we rather have a unified game with a unified high quality experience for all our users. We fought very hard to get cross-platform play, to allow Xbox users to play with PS4 users, and to play with Switch users, and to play with mobile users. And we broke all those walled garden. We were the first game to do that. It's not to create walled garden in ourselves and create 2 games separate. We really want a unified experience, and so we know it'll take a bit of time for the GPU in India to get to the right level to really have large numbers. But we that's our preferred approach. I think maintaining 2 games, having 2 experience and 2 brand is not the approach we think is the best.
So we're not looking at a lighter version or something.
That's right. No, this is at least as far as I know, this is not something we think is a good strategy.
Okay, just a question, which is, it's catching a lot of interest in India today. India has basically decided that diplomatically they're going to find a way to push back China. So, PUBG might be gone from here if India has its way. It's amongst the 200 odd apps they want to get out of India. They've already got some out. Yesterday they threw some others out. I think that was a Xiaomi OS. Yesterday they threw out. They blocked it. So one, good for you that PUBG will possibly at some stage go out. Second, you'll have Tencent as an investor with 40%. Do you think any ripple effect for coming onto you all over here?
So I can't really comment on our board, etc. I think if you refer to Tim's tweets, etc., you'll get a sense of how he looks at the shareholding of Tencent, and they've been very helpful bringing us online, etc. So I would say that we try not to be involved in politics in general.
But look at politics. Politics. Microsoft is Donald Trump is telling Microsoft to pick up TikTok. That's how far it's going today. The world is getting very polarized.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't really want to comment or make choice in there. We think the governments can take care of that, and we'll just make sure we comply to wherever we operate with whatever the government regulation are in place.
Thank you for that. I appreciate the answer. Thank you. So how popular is Fortnite really?
Well, again,
in India, I'm saying, give me a feel. You can't give me numbers, but give me a feel.
Well, as I said, I think we've got recently solid growth. Bring Fortnite on Google Play recently has mean that we've got a lot of new users there. But it's a complicated market, and so at the moment we're just really looking and exploring. I don't know if you saw, but couple of months ago also, we started testing a little bit the market by doing a small promotion with OnePlus and releasing our first Indian themed emoticon or dance in Fortnite. It's been a little bit limited. At the moment we're just testing and trying to understand how we can offer a great experience. I mean, there's obviously lots of players already, but before we go big scale and invest in the market, we just really want to understand better the environment and from an infrastructure point of view, from a payment point of view, from a marketing point of view, content, etc. So we're going fast. I mean, Fortnite is a rocket ship right now with all the innovation and the season and the growth we're experiencing and the engagement we're seeing that. But we're still very careful about when we enter a market to make sure that when we make that decision to really officially enter it and support it, we can really offer the best experience and support the audience locally, etc. And we haven't made that call yet for India. It's definitely on our radar, but we haven't not made that decision active yet.
What about Southeast Asia? How long do you think the India study will take? Finding out.
I don't know. It's not. I'm supporting the team who does that, but I'm not leading that effort, so I can't really
what about
a lot of detail.
Asia?
So in Southeast Asia, it's to some level less complex and to some level more complex. Southeast Asia is primarily also a mobile market. Fairly similar to India. I mean, obviously there are pockets like Singapore which are much more. There's a higher, better infrastructure and higher, spec phones, etc. But overall, Southeast
Malaysia
Asia,
I thought would be good also. Malaysia.
Sorry?
Malaysia.
Yeah, so Malaysia is not bad either. And so the challenge is really, it's very fragmented, right? You have 3 large markets in terms of size from a perspective of the gaming revenue and ecosystem. You've got Vietnam and Thailand, and then you have Indonesia. They remain markets that are not necessarily very easy to operate in from a point of view of regulation, from a point of view of infrastructure, and from a point of view of the installed base. Some of those markets like Vietnam and Thailand, you need to localize the language, which on a game of this scale is a big effort. And you need to localize your marketing, etc., etc. So again, same thing. Those are all interesting markets. We're really keen to grow the audience and especially also to satisfy and make the local players we already have happy. But we've got to move cautiously, and there's a lot of complexity and challenge in there. So we're pushing those markets and India, as an international point of view, and that focus and that narrow down onto that specific market to really grow in that market is not there yet. And we're looking at all of those markets and just maintaining our core market, whether it's US, Japan, China, and Europe is already maintaining the pace on producing content, engaging an audience of this size, and making sure technology work and continue to innovate, as you've seen we've done with in-game concerts, in-game movies, in-game DJ residencies. All of this is takes a lot of the team. We've managed to ride that COVID fairly decently and continue to bring great experience to the players. And we are also looking, but you can imagine it's so many balls in the air at the same time just to keep that amazing rocket ship on.
And how many people in the company are juggling these balls?
I think we've the last numbers I think is about 2,500 people at Epic.
That's
so it's
lean.
It's very lean, and so prioritization is very critical to our success, and focus is very critical. I mean, we realize we're very humble about what the users, both the players but also the licensees that are using Unreal, are giving us their trust and investing their time either in our properties or with our technology. And so we want to make sure that everybody has a great experience, and we don't want to just go for growth for the sake of growth and then not have that not have that quality of support, of relationship with the various part of our ecosystem.
How large do you expect your team to be for India and Southeast Asia?
So at the moment, we really focus initially on supporting Unreal users, right? And when the publishing decision comes in terms of if we decide to bring a team to support Fortnite, etc., that's again some different numbers. But initially, what I'm trying to do is really to have a decent geographic coverage. India is not a small place, and then a good industry coverage also, right? And at the moment, I would say, obviously, the game industry, we always have a community of game developers that are always, that we always make sure are very happy. The proudest, the proudest moment is to see something like those guys from Pune, nodding heads that are putting out a beautiful game for console and PC called Raji, and that they've spent, all the passion they've had and how they've worked on this game and how they've used our technology and the beautiful game that's coming out of it. That all make us very proud at Epic. But what we've seen grow very fast, and we had a lot of interest before the pandemic, but obviously the pandemic has kind of increased that demand, is all around animation and virtual production for movies, right?
We'll come to that.
Yeah, so this is so satisfying and supporting those customers and building a team around doing that between a team of employee and a partner ecosystem to support that has been taking a lot of my time recently.
So have you got anybody on board so far?
Oh, I think I won't say we've talked to everybody because this market is so gigantic in India, but we're speaking with a lot of the big VFX and production shop, and trying to help them onboard the technology and leverage the technology where
I was talking about your team, or is it just you running around? You have
I'm running around. You'll see more people in the coming couple of months. There's people coming on board. I can't mention name, but there's definitely some very strong people joining the team over the next couple of months.
Fantastic. So what do you think of the game development industry, the indie guys and the bigger studios, and what do you think? I mean, where do you assess it? Where are we at?
Well, I mean, you and I have been
be casual, like you mentioned Raji and nodding heads, but anyone else who you see who's interesting?
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of things. I think I mean, you and I have been watching this industry very, very closely for many years now. And I tried in the mid 2000 to push also the envelope here, and so I care a lot about the industry here, and I'm really excited to see it starting to really rise. And I think one of the big factor that has driven this, and it's literally, I would say, around the last 18 months to 2 years, maybe even less, is obviously the availability of much cheaper bandwidth. So
continue, please. I'll just stop.
The competition now, in terms of 4G and the lower price of bandwidth on phone, the number of smartphones that increased, as you mentioned, this was really what was missing. And then there's the online payment that is also took up quite a bit over the last 18 months. And so I think with all those things, we've seen now a real revenue coming from the Indian market, which was really lacking before. And that's really got a lot of people to look at it carefully, from international company who are now focusing a lot of publishing resource in India, but also that's really what you need for a local game ecosystem to take off, right? A market they can address and they feel familiar and comfortable with. And so I think we've seen the number of game developer increase, game developer shop and project increase dramatically over the last 2 years, and that's really a great news. And for us, Unreal has always focused on a high quality experience and photorealism and etc. So we've tend to be over the years we've tend to be focused a little bit more on PC and console and high GPU capable type of device. But I think with the event of AR and the improvement on GPU on the mobile, and then Fortnite that we decided to move to mobile, that means the engine is a lot more accessible for mobile. And so I expect to see a lot of migration and a lot of adoption of the engine, over the next 18 months, because of that, because of the familiarity also of the Indian gamers with other games than Fortnite that are built on Unreal, etc. So, yeah, I'm very hopeful, and very excited to be able to support the local game industry, and to finally see it take off.
So where are the gaps currently?
Well, I think it's what's great is obviously big companies like Technicolor and EA and Zynga and Ubisoft have been here now for some of them for more than 10 years, and they've nursed a lot of great talent. So I think that was another component that was missing for the industry to be a success. I think people need role models also, and they need to see some games that are built here, some game they are impressed with, be successful globally. And so that's why I mentioned Raji, because I think it's a very inspiring story, and I think they will be successful, and that will give a lot of hope to the overall industry, etc. But they are, I think they are capable people now. I think it's just releasing more game and failing more times, because that's what's about a lot in the game industry, is a lot of trying and a lot of failing. So you learn the lesson about this market and how to get successful on this market. And so I think we're on the right path, right? A lot of people trying. There's going to be a lot of failure, but that's how we learn, and ultimately, something great will emerge out of it. I'm very sure.
But I'm quite shocked, that this country plays 100 million of them play smart Ludo. Come on, give me a break.
But if you see now,
100 million playing smart Ludo.
Yeah. I mean,
or Ludo King, whatever it's called, I don't know.
That's right. So that's why it's important, right, to really understand what the user want, and to bring, if you bring a product that's already existent, to really localize it to, or to bring some content.
Fortnite, then what? What if they don't want Fortnite?
Well, I mean,
if you have to create something which is very Indian,
so you may have seen other initiatives we have. Recently, last year we acquired the guys from Rocket League, the Physionics guys. So, that's another type of game. And we don't want to do every game. We have, as developer and publisher, we have our own vision. Then we put out also the Epic Game Store, to compete with Steam, and try to bring the share of to developers across the industry to a more reasonable level. And so, I'm sure there's plenty of games in that in the Epic Game Store that that speaks to the Indian audience. And so our success doesn't always come the same manner in everywhere, and that's why we started to focus more on the engine business here. And then we'll see, as we understand better, and as we can read the market better and find what are the products we have from a publishing point of view that are a good fit there, then we'll push those products here.
Great. So you're basically not in a rush right now, and it's a complicated market, like you said.
It is.
It's diverse. There's language versions. You can get deeper penetration if you go into language rather than just having English.
That's right.
So you'll have to really take focusing on Unreal is pretty interesting. So you've got Unreal 5 coming up in 2021. You've
That's
got
right.
Lumen. You've got
Nanite.
Nanite, yeah. Isn't it too much of power and too much of fuel being given to a market which doesn't possibly need all this fuel?
Well, I mean, I think the market definitely need this fuel. We work very closely for many years with the console developers, and we see what they're trying to achieve, and to have the experience they want to give to their buyers, and we need to step up to that. So when you have amazing GPUs coming out and great tech, we want to make games as great as possible, and we want our licensees to make game as great as possible. And for do that, we need to keep innovating and pushing the envelope in all the things we are known for. And photorealism is one thing, lighting. There's also some really interesting things coming in physics in Unreal 5 with Chaos and Niagara. So I think we'll continue to push the envelope. And then now we're starting. So there's really three drivers, right? There's Fortnite, what we want to do on Fortnite, and what the creative team on Fortnite wants to do. Well, the engine team needs to try to leverage. There's just the engine team themselves, who are some of the best guys in the world in each aspect of technology there, and know where they want to go, and they're driving. And then we have all our licensee. There's about 500 games that have been developed on Unreal and that published, and so we work very closely with a lot of very large developers, and they have some objectives, they have some dreams, and we try to bring that up. And then now there's all those enterprise users from the movie industry, right? And our CTO Kim Libery comes from that, come from the movie industry, and so there's a lot of demand. There's a lot of interest around real-time pipeline in movies, and that means we have, we humbly try to respond to that demand and support the people who've giving us their trust. And with Nanite and Lumen, those are really two things that for the movie industry will be game changers. We hope will be game changers, right? Because you can now bring your movie quality CG assets right in the engine and work with them. There's no more downgrading of polygons. There's no polygon counts, and so you can work with those amazing movie quality assets and build all your game or your movies without having to make compromise anymore. And the lighting is the same. If you think about, we were the first to launch ray tracing after RTX GPUs were launched, and we want to be the first pushing it. And so Lumen is fundamentally ray tracing on steroid, with infinite bounds of light between on the different item, which will give us the first probably a real-time global illumination system that will be as close as you can from natural light, and also will remove a lot of work that people were trying to creatively simulate natural light by using filters and shaders and all of those things. A lot of that thing will be able to go away, and you'll be able to have dynamic transition from one scene to other with the light adapting right there in real time. So that's I hope, and we hope that this will be a game changer for the animation industry, for gaming industry, and for movie industry. And then for architecture visualization, where people are also very keen on those things. And so I think it's going to be very exciting. And everybody in the engine team is really passionate. And so
have you got James Cameron excited about Unreal?
Have I got James Cameron excited? I don't know. I can't comment.
I'm not talking
I can't comment on specific relationship with specific customers, and especially
because he's coming.
I'm not the one handling
the next generation Avatar. And the thing is, unless we have proof of the pudding that Unreal is used for a full film, right. It'll be used for piecemeal shots or whatever, replacing maybe match moving or whatever, rather than or motion capture replacing it. So unless we have proof of the pudding, I mean, isn't it fair if you work with a studio which actually uses Unreal to produce a film, and especially in times like social distancing?
So yeah, there's a bit of a maybe it's because of the excitement and the marketing. There's a bit of a misconception about what virtual production is. Like you say, it's actually many different pieces that are coming together, and you can go from just doing a little motion capture and a few green screen shot and a few virtual background or virtual special effect. You can go from there to go all the way to the case of The Mandalorian with that we supported Disney for shooting there, and you have full virtual sets. in-camera visual effects, motion tracking, or the ceiling with the LEDs and around the LED, and the LED on high quality enough that you can actually shoot the LED in a way that you hardly have to do compositing at the end, etc. So we're trying to progress and really take the post out of post-production and be able, have everybody that's involved into the production of a movie to be able to see the vision of the director from day one, and to collaboratively, iterate that vision in real time together. And so I think that's the end vision. But in terms of adoption, there's lots of little bits that can be adopted before, which which Bollywood and Tollywood have done, very successfully for many years. I think it's just the number of things that can be done and the options creatively to leverage this have increased dramatically. And so I think that's we're going to be seeing some really exciting innovation and really exciting new movies. I mean, one of the things I always think of is in India, a lot of the shots are, with a lot of big, setups and decors and lots of construction to be done, or lots of location shots. And it's beautiful, but it's tough. It's hard to put together. It's expensive.
400 crew on the ground.
Exactly, right. And so I think, and then also it's limiting, right? Because how do you do a science fiction movie? Or it's become super expensive to build those sets. How do you do some things like all mythology pieces is very hard, and it's hard to make them look good. And this just brings this those tools, and it's just not Unreal. Unreal is just the middle recipient of all this, and a lot of the tools are. But you still have your camera tracking system connected to it. You still have your color keying that needs to be done. You still have your in camera effects and your previs and your take. All of those things still need to be done. So, and all the tools that you use for those things are still integrating with this. So I think it's going to be a journey, a little bit like we were talking about the metaverse. It's going to be a journey from the internet and the apps towards the metaverse. I don't think adoptions is going to be overnight, and I don't think leverage. Those are just tools. At the end, you need the artists to get comfortable with their tool, and you need them to bring their craft, and that's really what's going to bring things together more than just the tech, right? And so I think we on that journey. And as I was saying, a lot of leading studios and post house are now getting familiar with the technology, learning the engine, testing it, and doing things. And so it's going to be a very exciting journey.
How many studios have you partnered with so far in India?
So I'd say probably, I can't really mention, about 20. We're talking to probably double that, but there are 20 in which we are trying to help during this transition. And there are people who are already very knowledgeable. I mean, it's not like there's no Unreal skills in India, but we're trying to accompany and help everybody do that transition.
So what are you doing with Eros? Because you spoke about it in one of your interviews.
Well, I think we came early. I think Eros became aware of the potential of this. They have projects which it's a great fit for, and so they came quite early, and we met quite early, and we discussed some of their projects. And so they are one of the first studio we wanted to work with. The acquisition of Stix also makes it very interesting, because we work with Stix back in the US. And so, I think they had the vision early, and they have big plan, and we thought we love what they're doing. And so we were very keen to collaborate with them and support and make them, they were successful in their vision. So we work and we train them, and we work from them across the different product range they want to do. And it's an exciting team.
I understand. So, but, why should, has the response so far, you've given them, they're trying it. What has the response been so far from the filmmaking fraternity and the studios?
Well, I think everybody is very interesting. Obviously, very interested. Obviously, the whole VFX community and the whole post-production community was very aware. And before even the pandemic hit, a lot of them realized that as the pipeline, as the production pipeline is moving from that linear, process and quite siloed process that is traditionally used in the industry, whether it's animation or feature films. Some of them realized that they could see in the US it's about 120 movies that have already been produced using this tech, right? So they realized this is becoming an unavoidable tool. And so when we came in October, November, there were already a lot of interest. But then the pandemic in March started to stop all the shooting. And so a lot of teams that thought they had more time to do it have now realized that they don't have time. We're very uncertain how the SOPs for shooting are going to evolve over the next 18 months. And if we want to still produce things in the meantime, we need to onboard the technology quite fast. And even if we don't produce now, this is a good opportunity to, when everybody's holding at home, to bring the tools in, because once you're on production, people have very little time to themselves, and so it's hard to learn new tools, etc. So a lot of them have realized this is a good time to actually onboard those tools, do a lot of testing, etc. And so we're trying to accompany that process and support the industry as much as we can.
So you're leaving how are you educating them in terms of and marketing to them? One, secondly, how are they experiencing the engine?
So we before the pandemic, we did a couple of classes down there in Bombay, a couple of week long classes to try to bring a first batch of students with Unreal
This
knowledge.
was at Famous Studios, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And then obviously with the pandemic, we had to stop that, and now we're doing this online. So we're training teams anywhere from 10 people to 50 people, and provide them online training. The Unreal Engine is very modular. You have different subsystems that allow to do different pieces, whether it's the lighting, whether it's the the physics, and so we take those modules one at a time, and then spend 2-3 hours instructor led to train the students and to bring them on, and we adapt it to whatever level they have, and we do that teacher led. But also we've got absolutely fantastic resource on our website. So we have over 90 online classes followed by tests that if you pass them, you have a badge. And then there's a big effort to start partnering also with training center and academic institution. And as the team comes on board, that's going to be a big focus, because ultimately, people have to learn the tools and adapt their craft to it, and that's going to take a bit of time. And so we need to output a certain number of expert in Unreal just to satisfy multiple industries. Because we just talk about movie and animation, but there's a huge pull from the architecture and in construction industry as well. There's many different sectors, simulation, automotive, all of those are adopting very fast the technology. And so that's a lot of different industry to understand and support, but we're trying our best.
So in terms of, but the model for the business model for the media entertainment,
right,
and software and the architecture industry will be different. Right. Will it be software as a service or?
No, not at all. So so first, in movies, anything that's not game actually, the engine is free. So there's no business model there. We anyway develop the technology for our games, and to run Fortnite and for the customers that are using games. And so because we want to drive adoption, and we think we want to accelerate the emergence of metaverse. We've made that technology free. I mean, the decision was taken a while ago when we actually put it on GitHub and decided it was open source. In the architecture segment, we purchased last year a company called Twinmotion that is basically a company that had taken the renderers and the tools of Unreal and put a layer on top of it of UI, UX, and then develop some pieces that were missing to make sure it was really easy to serve the architecture and construction industry. So it's a visualization tool that's using Unreal, that's built on top of Unreal. And we've acquired that company, and we're now selling that license.
So that's where some revenue would be coming in. That's
yeah. It's we again mostly driving adoption. It's very cheap if you compare to industry standards in that place. And that's the advantage is that the UI UX and the things that need to be done have been simplified in a way that not the quality on the output, but the way you can handle it and learn it. And so that means that architects and people in the construction segment or landscape segment can onboard the tool much faster, and basically learn it faster and use it faster. So
you're meeting all these cross section of customers. You're meeting the architecture guys. You're meeting the media.
That's right. And then we've got in architecture, construction, and structure, we've made quite a bit of investment also recently on digital humans. So we've acquired Trilateral and Cubic Motion, and you'll see upcoming a lot of nice things around digital humans, digital twins of buildings and of infrastructure. There's lots of interesting things done in that segment. We see a lot of broadcast also, obviously virtual sets. And now with the sports situation, we see a lot of interest around virtual crowds and stadiums that need to be, recreated for broadcast production, etc. So it's a flurry of activity, lots of interest. And we can change. To me, like you were saying before we started, we both old school. I saw the first wave of internet in the 90s, and then I was at IBM when everybody, the whole media industry moved from analog to digital. And I think this next wave of, real-time collaboration in the creative space and immersive collaboration in the digital content creation space is really the third wave I'm seeing, and so it's always super exciting to see that happening.
Great. Now let's. But India is special. You'll have to come up with any product you do. Right. You'll have to come up with special pricing because they've learned it the hard way. Everyone, Netflix learned it. They came up with the $199. They've got different products as compared to other markets. As even Pepsi, Coke, all learned it the hard way compared to even European prices. Indian prices are very different.
Yeah. So I was told you need to divide the price by 5, and so since Unreal's price is 0 divided by 5 is still 0. So I think we already reached that objective.
I'm talking about your other products, architecture products, and all the other products.
Yeah. But you'll see. Obviously, we're very aware of that, and we'll make sure that we're interested to have as many people adopting the technology, and more importantly, creating on it and building on it. And so we make sure that it's accessible like it is.
And have you seen any assets in India you'd like to pick up, apart from for helping game developers, apart from assisting the media, and any assets you'd like to pick up? Like
you mean like your companies?
Yeah, companies.
At this moment, not. But if somebody is well aligned to our vision. I'm not involved in the M&A space in the company, but I would assume that if there's some great technology emerging and that's well in sync with us, there's some, as I mentioned, we've done Trilateral, Cubic Motion, Twin Motion. So those are all things that we thought were teams that we thought were bringing a very critical piece of technology and would fit nicely with us. And if that happens in India, for sure, we'll look at that. But at the moment, to be honest, I'm by myself with all this. I haven't had much time to do all those things. So as the team grow, I'll be able to give you more specific answers on that.
I understand. So, but are you also looking at outsourcing some of the tech stuff down here? Because a lot of the companies have done it.
Again, I'm not managing the product team and R&D team, but we like to we like to have in our team the core tech in general. That's the only thing I would say, is that, we think that close collaboration and etc. is something that's very important to get, to be able to advance like we've done in leaps forward and really make, leapfrog of innovation and push the envelope for the entire industry. I think we think it requires the best people, and it requires that intimacy and that focus on objectives, which sometimes is a bit difficult to do when things are too satellized, I would say.
Yeah, you had a good time early on with House Party. What happened? It's kind of not talked about much now.
Oh no, House Party has been growing very steadily, and obviously it was a big growth with the beginning of the pandemic. It's a great product. I think they had really found, and they have really found a spot in the social network environment that was missing. That face-to-face social network they came up with has been very popular, and then bringing content into it with games, as we've got some really solid engagement. Even after we had this massive growth in March, April, the engagement stayed above 65 minutes per users per day, which is quite massive. And we think that that's mostly because people were allowed to be face-to-face. That brings that intimacy and that richness of interaction with facial clues, etc. And that was really missing on all of the social network. Mm-hmm. And then the game, the interactive, let's do something together, right? That was a component that was added also, and I think was very sticky. And we continue to innovate on the content side. There, you'll see more content coming on House Party and localized content, etc. So, no, it's been a very interesting growth path, and we feel very responsible and very humbled by the traction we've had on House Party, especially during the pandemic, enabling families to come back mm-hmm. together, friends to hang out together and do things, and being able to support that has been very humbling and rewarding for the company.
So my daughter installed it and she uninstalled it quickly. I mean, she's in her 20s.
Right.
She said the leakage, and you said you'd offer $1 million if somebody could.
That was actually we believe.
And I've never used it, honestly. I was told I'm too old to use it.
Yeah, you should give it a try. Actually, what was very interesting is with the pandemic, our audience was very much young and teenagers and mm-hmm. and people in their 20s. But with the pandemic coming, a lot of old people came on board, a lot of young kids came on board, just because it was the best place to get together. And so we've seen a widening of the audience, if you want, and demographics quite dramatic. And yeah, I mean the issues with the uninstall was, we believe, a malicious rumors that had been spread. We obviously, if you run a social network, the data of your users is a paramount to you. And so when we heard about people claiming they were leakage or stealing of password, we investigated every single one, and we found all of them.
Taking the 1 million.
And so we haven't found who does it, but definitely, we're using standard industry encryption. We have securities. We are on Apple App Store and Google Play. If our app enabled people to really steal things, we wouldn't be allowed to be there, right? So it's very definitely malicious, but yeah, we've come up and I think we've managed to debug that IDs and that sentiment, and we've seen some very decent growth.
Great. So now we'll come to the Unreal last, and then personal last. Right now we're going to, I'm going to talk about the grant that you'll have set up,
right.
Which the Blender Foundation got some money. Are we seeing some of that money spilling over into projects in India?
Yes, we have. I mean, the Raji was a recipient of it, and there's more in the pipe and more coming. the Epic Make grant was 100 million we put aside. We've just announced that we have already distributed 42 million, so there's a 48 million left. It's really for projects that are either using Unreal in a very innovative manner, or promoting, that something that goes that will be likely a part of the metaverse. Obviously, Blender is the biggest grant we've given away, but we've also given away, I think quite a bit of money to Godot, which is interesting. It's a open source real-time game engine, so potentially a competitor to ours. And this is really to further, it's really giving back to the community. We have a lot of, we had a lot of success, and we're very, very grateful for Fortnite. And this was a way to give back to the game community, but also to the overall real-time community. So there's a lot of projects that are not in game, and that we are supporting. It's fairly easy to submit a plan there, and we've got quite, since I started in India, we've got quite a few demands from India. So I think we'll see more and more Indian recipient going forward, and Southeast Asian recipient as well. And it's great to see people leverage this to continue to innovate or do beautiful things using technology.
So tell me a bit about the Nodding Heads project, which you'll have, and Raji, which you keep talking about again and again.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a small team in Pune. I think there are a dozen of them, and they've been working on this for 2 or 3 years. And it's based on Indian mythology, but with it's targeting PC and console. And it's a young girl, the hero, the main character. So I think it's quite innovative. And what's really impressive is the high quality of the gameplay. I mean, this is more than indie. They are fundamentally an indie team, but they're pulling off something that's more than indie. So I'm really, really excited to see that come out of India, and that high quality on console, that innovative storyline, that innovative gameplay, and just that very nice graphics and gameplay. So it's gonna be I'm impatient to see them succeed there.
Okay, and what are the ticket sizes the grant will give away? Is it 50,000, 100,000, or it depends?
So it's it depends what people ask for, and so if there's not many of those big like Blender Foundation that got, I think, over $1 million, and Godot a large one. I mean, a lot of them are under 100 grand, and then some of them a little bit more. We just want to make sure that the money is used to really push the envelope or do beautiful things. So that's our only. There's no string attached. We don't take any IP. We don't take any property, and it's really a grant.
But do you monitor the progress?
Yeah. So we obviously if we give a bit. If you give a big amount of money, we'd like to see it, the project take out. But some projects never land, and etc. We just try to make sure that the money given is really used for the purpose it was given.
We ask for a detailed proposal of where the project is and
so people typically send us. Think about if you have to pitch a project internally in a company or to a bunch of investors. Although we are not investor, and once you get the money, you get the money. We like to understand it like that. We want to understand what's the team. If we can, we'd like to see a piece of the project or some art to support it, or some, so somebody that let us judge is it a worthwhile, place to put the money, and will it benefit to the community, and help us further what our beliefs and value are.
And how does one submits the proposal to you or to the?
So just you've on the Unreal on the UnrealEngine.com website, you have a menu that's community, and you can find a tag that's Epic Mega Grant, and you just click on there, and you have a form to submit it, and you submit your plan with it, and then our global team receive all of those and mull them through and select the one that make the most sense.
Yeah, I read somewhere that you'll take 5% as the license fees, not for the Epic grant. I'm moving away. For
Right.
Games developed on the Unreal Engine.
That's right. So that's if you do it with the EULA. So if you just don't tell us and just use the engine, which we totally fine you do, and you publish it, then here's a 5% of gross royalty rate. But we made an announcement a few months ago that this 5% only applies after you've made more than $1 million of gross revenue across platform. So what we trying to do there is even reduce that weight. We basically, our philosophy is very simple, is we only want to share, in the game segment with game developers, we only want to share success when they've reached success. And so the idea there was that, we're not going to take any royalty until they've recovered a big part of their own investment into a game, etc. So we're trying to make it easier and easier for game developers to, and cheaper for game developers to adopt the technology and make beautiful projects. And we've released recently also Epic Online Services, which is basically we've taken the entire cross-platform infrastructure, multiplayer cross-platform, and we pulled that out of Fortnite and make it available to all other users. So we're launching that recently, and our hope is that indie, great developer that do fantastic game but couldn't afford to invest in maintaining and doing, working across platform can now use that and very quickly and very fast publish their game across 5 platforms, and have cross-play and all of those things that we took a lot of time to obtain as Epic Game.
Yeah. What about the it's very, you all guys seem to be, it's a dream come true for any developer, looks like, and any game player, a dream come true, and for indie guys. Going back now to the Epic Games store before we go on to Unreal, and then talking up to you personally. So, you said you give how much other platforms are sharing? They keep about 16%. You all give an 88% rev share from the store.
Yeah, so most platform give about 70%, and we only take 12%. Means we give back to the developer 88%. And recently we've announced that we'll start being a publisher also, and that's the same principle, right? Tim's message, our CEO's message was, we'll get into publishing. We'll start slow and do a few of them, but for the publishing, what we want to do is give to game developer the kind of deal we would have liked to have before we were, before we became publisher and when we were developers. So, we're funding the entire game development, the entire team for the whole thing. We're funding the marketing, and then we sharing profit 50-50, right, with the developers, etc. So we're trying to do deals but at the moment it's very limited. We're just trying with a few games, and we'll see. Or
will that come to India? Does the Epic Ground, and will this come to India?
Oh, we don't know, and it's it's very, it depends really on how. It's just the experiment announced, right, I think 3 months ago, so it's a new area for us. But we, the philosophy is consistent, right? Is the best for the developers and the best for the players. This is really what we're after, and a fair space, right? We don't like monopolies, and we don't like people who leveraging their power to over others. We try to we like a fair ecosystem for games, definitely.
Okay, let's talk about Unreal now. So from Gen 1 to now, talk about how has the evolution happened and what has been the evolution.
Well, so I've been there only 10 months, unfortunately, Anil. So I don't have an intimate knowledge of the evolution of the engine.
Okay.
But I think there's always been that it's always been driving that technological innovation. It's always been about by creators for creators, meaning we always we don't give to people technology that we haven't battle tested ourselves, and we like to innovate, and we recruit, if we can, the best people in each of those subsystem technology, and we push and want those leapfrog. And so that's, and Tim is very involved into this as well. Himself is very passionate about that. So it's a very interesting company to work in, very rewarding and very inspiring place to be, and we hope to bring that to the rest of the ecosystem.
Okay, so how does how does it make life easy for the game designer?
Well, I mean, there's lots of different steps, right? I mean, most game engine in the past where you could only use if you were a coder, and the artists were left to the artist sides and designer as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've introduced a VRL scripting with Blueprint, and now it's artists can work directly in Unreal, and game designer, and then we innovate on all the systems and all the templates that are available in the system, and trying to make it easier and easier. And if you think about the environment, I mentioned earlier the acquisition of Quixel, which does the Megascan. I mean, if you look at Quixel Mixer that we just re-released as well, it allows you to go so fast into bringing photorealistic environment, stylizing them, bring them together with your painter creation, your ZBrush creation, and bring all of this together super fast and adapt it and stylize it. And we're basically trying to, lower the bar to entry, make it easier for users, and bring in more and more users tools inside there to just bring down fundamentally the price. And when I say price, it's not only monetary, but time-wise, number of people-wise, of creating people's vision and creative outfits. So we're trying to make it easier financially, make it easier from a tool perspective, bring everybody in the same environment, and then bring tools and content that through Quixel, through marketplace and Unreal Marketplace, so that people can go faster in creating more content at lower price and in an easier way. Our vision, I mean, you can see also some piece of that in Fortnite with Fortnite Creative, which separate limited set of tools there, but that literally can create your own environment from scratch, right? So there's a lot of thinking and experimentation across the company on how do we bring that bar down and bring the quality bar up for people who use the technology, and bring the cost bar down at the same time.
Are you proficient at it yourself?
No, I'm not. I mean, I understand how they work. I've opened it and etc. I'm not a, I coded the last time in university, and C++ didn't exist at the time. So, but I love sitting with artist and engineer and seeing, and I sometimes do a module where I want to understand what my customer are talking about. I do a training module, but I wouldn't call myself somebody that can actually use the engine and create anything very, very beautiful.
Great. Thanks for being honest with that. Now, how far has what's the state of Unreal Engine 5? And sometime in 2021, we don't know when. And
that's right.
It been pushed forward because of the pandemic? And what are the features one can expect?
No, again, we are very much about making leapfrog and showing something really interesting. We don't share externally what we're doing until we are sure we can deliver it and we know when we can deliver it. So we wanted to make an announcement because I think it was important to raise the next gen console coming, etc. But the process for us is very simple, right? Is we get the technology, we developed it, features and functionality, we dog food it to ourselves, which means we bring it into Fortnite, and so we understand how hard it is or how easy it is to use it and to transition an existing game with 350 million people on it from one engine to the next. So that's pretty strong battle testing. And then after, we work typically with a first row of partners we've worked many years with, and trusted partners, and they do the second line of testing for us. And then after that, we feel comfortable releasing the beta to the public, and then the alpha, and then finally out. We don't want people to have a bad experience, so we're very careful in that process, and we make sure we battle test it as much as possible.
So, but has the pandemic postponed that?
No, I haven't seen much slowing down. I think game technology and game developer, we all work kind of remotely, even if we are in the same office. Everybody is in his own thing, etc. And so I don't think it has had too much of an impact in slowing down or slowed down the development. But it's not that slow down. Is when you actually do those battle testing, that's where sometimes you find out that things are delayed or not, right? So we don't give dates until we're fairly certain those dates are going to hit.
Okay, so the mobile app editor, what's the response to that? And how's the
mobile
response?
editor?
Yeah, the mobile app. Yeah.
So I mean the app, the
engine.
the face tracking system that's been released on that. So that's been very exciting, right? Because being able to control 3D rigs, etc., with a mobile tracker is positive. So we've seen a lot of testing, a lot of playing around with it, and we think there's a fairly good takeoff, and it's very very accessible. So it's so far it's been a good experience.
Yeah. So for the 4th edition, you partnered with Oculus Rift. What's the deal with the 5th edition? Are you looking at? I mean,
so
its own glass, etc. Are you looking at an Indian?
We have we definitely, all the platform that we're supporting in UE4 will be supporting in UE5.
Okay.
And it's forward compatible.
Okay, great. So can you talk about the trends in game development now, and what's going on? Are we going? I know you talked about photorealism. On the other side, you have casual. On the other side, you have hyper photorealism.
Right.
Any trends you can talk about?
In
development and design.
Well, no, not really beyond what I have already mentioned. I think we're seeing a lot of adoption of photorealism, a lot of adoption of high quality and high fidelity assets, and gameplay wise, I think things will evolve also. I mean, what I'm most excited about is things like what we've done in Fortnite, whether it's Fortnite Creative, Fortnite the concerts, with Travis Scott, and things that I think is really interesting, because you show you're chipping at that concept of metaverse slowly and humbly, and try to show what's possible to be done. And I think you've seen what we've done with Travis Scott, and then now.
Can you tell us more about? I mean, I didn't get a chance to see it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, basically live performance inside the game, or at least concert inside the game, I'll call it. And then you've seen things like recently Tomorrowland, the festival that's been organized, and that's using Unreal as well. So what we try to do in Fortnite is show some glimpse of where we think this is going, and then it's the whole community that then pick those tools and those ideas and run with it and make something even much bigger than what we could think of. So it's a bit that's, for me, that's really the excitement in the market, is to see that evolution of game into mainstream, and of game incorporating a lot of other things that we wouldn't have imagined 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. So any upcoming plans as far as Epic Games is concerned? Any upcoming titles you'd like to share?
No, nothing that I can share today. We usually do that centrally from the US, so you would have heard of it if this wouldn't be the.
And where are we heading with game development in terms of? Sorry, any exclusive things you want to share with us? We already talked about the game development.
Unfortunately, I don't have exclusive here from India. Usually, most of the exclusive come from HQ, and they would have been released already. But I'll think about the next time. Next time we speak, and I'll try to see, more exclusive about what we're doing in India. As I said, I've just started here, so there's not a lot of exclusive about India. But when they come up, we'll definitely make sure that we share that with your great community.
Yeah. How often do you speak to the bosses, the founders?
Oh, that's again more internal things. I mean, we've got it's a very open environment at Epic. It's a very fairly flat structure, and the communication is very easy. And I can't give you numbers, but I
Is it regularly? Is it almost every week or every second day?
It is regular, yes.
Great. So there's a lot of interest if the founders are speaking to you so regularly in this market.
No, we just have a very good internal communication about this. It's not one-to-one. We have a lot of team interactions, and the founders are not living in the ivory tower. They're very down in the trench with all of us. So.
Great. So now let's talk about Goa. Still in Goa, is it raining there? And how's Tino
Well,
doing?
it's
How
been,
are you?
the rain you have in the last 3 days in Bombay just came to us before. So yeah, just until today it's a bit less, but the last 3 days have been quite a shower.
Yeah. Wow. So you've been like in the home, not going out, or you managed to get out on your Enfield bikes, both you and
No, we've been, I have 2 little ones here also, so not much time to biking with them. 1 year old, 1.5 year old, and 7 years old. But yeah, in the weekends when it's not too locked down, we try to explore the states and go and see the waterfalls. The beach are off limits, obviously, with the monsoon. But there's lots of beautiful mountainsides and lakes and waterfalls in Goa. So we've been trying to explore a little bit our home state here and discover new hidden gems. And it's been mushroom season, so there's a very traditional mushroom that grew on termites hills in Goa, and that's just been the season there. So we've been mushroom picking and and tasting the local fare.
So you have a 1 acre, wide. You have a lovely house over there, and it's in Tiswadi, right?
That's right. Just between the airport and Panjim.
Yeah. So you're also doing some farming and some cropping, some rice.
It's mainly my partner Tinu is the passionate about farming. She's an artist and she's very passionate about art and farming, and so she's been exploring a lot of organic farming. We grow our own rice, different variety, and then lots of fruits farming and vegetable, and a lot of experimentation. And we work with a school, a learning center, not really a school here in Goa, and try to also get the kids involved and get everybody closer to nature and understand how food is grown, and give value to what they eat and see.
Yeah. So her modeling, she's not modeling anymore like she used to. Now she's just doing artist work.
Yeah, she did a master in fine arts, and is a very very exciting artist, performance and sculpture and installations, etc. So she was at the local Serendipity Festival here recently. She exhibited in Europe also, and so is very passionate, and it's a great environment for her to experiment here.
And you're not missing Belgium, are you?
Well, I left 27 years ago.
I understand, but you must be going back. You have family there, right? You have family. You must be going back.
That's right. Well, I go back once a year or a couple of times a year, depending on the job I have and where, the travel permit and when the kids can travel. So, I spent 25 years there. I think that's probably enough for any place in the world. The world is so big and there's so many things to see. So.
Thank you very much. You've been very, very forthcoming, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I hope you've found this interesting. And
always a pleasure to interact with you, Anil. It's been many years, and I always like the interaction too. And
thank you very much. You have a good evening.
All right, you too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you for having me. Bye.